some other news with DC. So we have an update on the Green Lantern project. Comic Cuts, I know you're pretty excited to hear about this. So
Yes.
here we go. Update on the Lanterns from Daniel RPK says this: Nathan Fillion will reprise his role as Guy Gardner. Damon Lindelof is in talks to produce, and Chris Mundy and Tom King will write the show.
Fire. I'm a big Tom King fan, so that's awesome to hear. Nathan Fillion, Guy Gardner, he's legit. I really want to know who's going to play Hal and John Stewart. Listen, Guy Gardner's important, but this show is, the castings for Hal and John are so important. And, I also just don't think that,
Love you, bro.
It's crazy to me that people aren't focused on this project, because this is crazy. The fact that we're getting a Green Lantern Corps show with Hal and John, and it's going to be like in this true detective style, is wild. This is going to be pure fire, and the fact that they put someone like Tom King in there is legit. Listen, I know there are a lot of fans out there that complain about Tom King. Why? I don't get the Tom King slander. Tom King is a very talented writer. He wrote one of the best Batman runs of all time. He wrote a really well-received Supergirl run. I didn't read it just because I don't read Supergirl comics. No shade to those who do, just not my character. But listen, Tom King he's a great writer, and he was also worked for the CIA, and he gets really into psychology and stuff. So he's someone that brings a very different perspective to these characters. And that's what was so cool about his Batman run. It was very deep into the psychology of Batman. And I remember, people complained about that, and it was like, Tom King doesn't get Batman. Aren't all the best Batman stories about Batman's deep psychology? So how the hell does Tom King not get Batman? Let's call a spade a spade. Awesome. And by the way, this is another win on the part of James Gunn, because, there's another stupid complaint that goes around where it's like, oh, James Gunn, he is giving too many jobs to himself. And it's like, yeah, first of all, James Gunn knows what he's doing, and he's proven himself time and time again, number one. So I'm happy with him directing projects. But James Gunn is also not an egomaniac, and he knows the comic world so well that he's putting the right people in the right places. And the fact that Tom King is in the room here is another huge W on James Gunn's handling of the DCU. So those who know and are seeing this are happy with it. And listen, everything's looking really good for the DCU.
A lot of people don't understand that Kevin Feige, starting with the MCU, he had a blank slate. There wasn't really an expectation that he had to reach. So he was able to use, to have loose, Marvel theology, that's what I'll call it, or Marvel lore to an extent, and have people like Jon Favreau and the Russos be able to land those. With James Gunn, he has to be by the book, because he's using, an IP that's been remade a lot of times. So having the comic writers in the room to write the scripts, that's why I also like having Chris Mundy, because you have the best of both worlds. You have someone that's in the comic world, and you also have someone that's written shows before. And also having Damon Lindelof is another really big deal, because let's talk about it. Star Wars fired him. He wrote the script for the Star Wars Rey movie. He was going to have Helen Mirren play an older Rey, which would have been fire, by the way. Mm-hmm. She's a great actress, a legend. I can't believe they had her as a villain in Shazam. Insane to me. But anyways, she was going to be an older Rey, and they fired him. So I am happy that, James Gunn is getting people in the room like him now. Lindelof does have a really good track record. He produced shows like The Lost, and he's done a lot of good projects like that. So this guy knows what he's doing. And so really excited. If this team is official, having a team like this in the room is really going to make some really good content for the Green Lantern for the Green Lantern lore and for the Green Lantern brand. Super happy about this.
The other thing that I forgot to mention is
What's
back
that?
to the psychology piece with Tom King. Like, this show is going to be groundbreaking because you're going to get a Green Lantern Corps show that is with the style of True Detective, with a guy made by a guy who has a passion for psychology. I mean, this is going to be like a dark, gritty, noir, interspace galactic detective show. Okay. And that's what I mean when I say something like groundbreaking, because no one has ever seen anything like this. And the fact is that, I talk about spectacle a lot. When you're making superhero projects, spectacle is important, that's why people care about the suit, the action. Like, that is going to be very well received by everyone. And listen, the Green Lanterns are like, it's one of my favorite parts of DC, and I just think that they are going to win so many people over because I have friends that I know that got into Marvel, or they have a girlfriend that they watch movies with, and they're not comic book fans. They're not like, they don't geek out over it the way Stevie and I do. But when a show like Daredevil comes on, they watch it, they get it, and they love it. And you have a lot of people out there like that who the only reason they know who Green Lantern is because of that bad Ryan Reynolds movie, right? And I think that this is going to be so well received in a way that people don't expect. And I think it's going to be similar to the way Daredevil and The Punisher were received on Netflix.
Yeah, I am really, and I also like the fact that they're using Guy Gardner because watching Batman, the Brave and the Bold, the animated show, Guy Gardner was used a lot of that, and that's kind of how I became a Guy Gardner fan. So having someone that's not just Hal and John, like another human, and obviously he's more of a nut, he's more like a funny guy. I think a lot of
Right.
fans are going to really be Guy Gardner fans as well. But you are right, Hal and John are the bread and butter of the Green Lantern. And I think someone like John Stewart is going to be really big, man. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but he's like, that's going to be a big character.